Hey, y'all, one day I was 13 years old, and I woke up, and I was sick of just living the way I was living. You know, I was tired of being poor and broke, but more than that, I was really frustrated with just kind of doubting myself a lot. So my value was low, and I would always hear my mama say that, you know, Tyson, you may not be good in one thing, but you're good at something. So if you just focus on that and do that well, then you'll be okay. And then the rest, just pray about it and let it go. So what I did was I put a pair of clippers in my hand and I went to town and got busy. And so I developed some worth in myself about what I did, but it had to go deeper than just cutting hair because I can't always cut hair. So I had to realize that I had value in spite of what I did and what anyone else said. And as a father now, you know, sometimes it's challenging sharing that information with my kids about building them up. And I want them to know that they can be confident in life. And as men in our community, I would like for you to help us out. You know what I mean? Share with the people about how we can add, you know, those lessons into our wardrobe of ideas to help people.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it don't matter. Come on. I want to know your opinions.
Well, for me, I tell the story to my son all the time about knowing your value and knowing your self-worth. I figured for myself, growing up in rural Mississippi, it was something that I had to determine early, in the sense that
Where you grow up?
rural Mississippi.
Mississippi?
Right. Mississippi.
Mississippi, all right.
Not Mississippi, Mississippi. There's some syllables in there that you gotta pronounce them all, not just run it all together. So.
Okay.
But growing up in rural Mississippi, so there was always that chance of being just a statistic. Of either you're gonna stay in town and just work on the farm or the plant that's in town, or you're gonna be a baby dad or something like that. But identifying my value, my worth early on kind of helped me be the person I am today. And I developed that sense of value, a sense of self-worth probably around the age of, I say 9 or 10. And the reason I say this is that because about the time I started working. I started making money for myself. And making money for myself didn't give me value, but being able to go and earn a wage kind of gave me a purpose in life.
Yeah.
Of the ability to say, I can do this on my own. And growing up with a single mother kind of thrusted me into a position where I had to kind of grow up a little bit early. And so in talking to my son and raising him, helping him to understand his value and identify who he is as a person, I always tell him that no one's really going to pat you on the back unless you're able to pat yourself on the back. The reason I say that is because you got to know who you are as a person. And once you identify who you are as a person, then people will recognize that in you, and then they'll know your value. They'll know your worth. They'll know who you are.
Yeah, that's something you said, identify. Because oftentimes we identify with everyone else, what they like, what they, how they dream, and we want to be like them. But we rarely identify with ourselves. So, Mr. Baker, you moved here from Tennessee.
Correct.
And you were played for ORU during a time where we were still dealing with some segregated issues and things like that.
Right.
So how did you maintain your identity going into that volatile environment? Because at that time, your group that came from Tennessee was groundbreaking.
Right. Well, the first thing I'd like to start off with, you know, we spend a lot of time talking about fatherhood and fathers. We're not giving credence to daddies. You know, daddies are equally important or more important. You see, if you go back, way back, I'm gray-headed, I'm way back. If you go back in slavery times, most of the men was basically sperm donors. They provided, you know, strong guys impregnated the women and they got bigger babies and whatever, you know. And so they were never with the family, so they was absent. Okay, then you go up to the 60s or the 60s, and then the men weren't there, they didn't work. They wasn't in the homes because they couldn't be in the home because you had the government agency that said the man couldn't be in the home. If they did, they'd take the woman off the rolls. They couldn't get any money. So again, they was absent. They wasn't there. They couldn't be there. If they was caught there, they was terminated, throwed off the program, no food stamps or whatever. So that spirit still lives. We got a lot of guys, because there wasn't a father in the home, they are still absent. They're still in the streets. They're not taking care of their kids or whatever. But we're doing a better job now. They're collecting that money. They're forcing them to pay. And that's good. And I'm saying all that to try to give you some understanding of why the fathers wasn't there. And, you know, the government has something to do with that, too. And I'm not trying to get into that stuff. But you look at it now, the daddies are equally important.
And I think what he's saying is that he's personalizing.
Right.
Because most of us don't call our parents father or mother. It's either mama or daddy.
Right.
So what he's saying is that there's an intimate connection that they have, you know. Right. And Stephen, I've seen you with your kids, and man, you're really amazing with them, you know.
I have a different role, not being the person you mentioned, someone that provides. Well, in my life, that's not my provision. My provision is almost exclusively the nurturing and helping to build character, because my wife is the person who's advanced herself to be the person that puts the food in our house and our roof. And it can be a point of insecurity, but it's a huge gift to be able to focus exclusively on caring for the kids, their personalities and their characters. I'm very proud of that, but I don't know how everybody else gets it done. People that work 12-hour shifts and still come home and have a good attitude with their kids. Blows me away.
But you know, you've done a good job, and I've seen you work with yours, even with the hair thing. You know, your baby coming here, she's crying, she's upset, and how you just are really patient and consistent with her, and you don't let up.
How do you push your kids to try to be bold and to be proud of themselves to such a high degree, and yet to also keep them safe? Because that confidence in a young man that is so important for him to become a man can be such a threat for his personal safety, and that's a major struggle for us as we try to embolden our children. How much pride is too much? Where do I help draw the line with them so that I don't push them through my ignorance into dangerous situations? It's going to be something that sticks with us all the way into their young adulthood.
Well, I'll tell you what I do. Part of what I teach my kids is that value exists in only people. Like true value. When you think about it, the glasses you wear, they're here to serve you. The shoes we have on is for our comfort. Dogs don't put on shoes and wear glasses and coats unless you put them on, you know, you got your little pet dog or whatever. But the reality is that value only exists in each other. So I teach my children that everyone is just as valuable as you are. So however we got here, it's the same way. And it doesn't matter the color of our skin. We're the human race. Dogs and cats don't breed. But you can take any ethnic group and put them together, and you can get a baby. So how I preserve their humility, I just teach them that you're no more important than the next person. And once you identify that value only exists in people, you have power now. There you go. Because everything you do, you can take pride in it. I don't care if you dig ditches, if you work in McDonald's. I know a gentleman, his last name is Akinbaro. He worked in McDonald's in Africa, cleaning bathrooms. And now he's over in an area in California, over several McDonald's, over a region of them, because he was faithful with the little things, because he found value. And it doesn't matter. When we go into a clean bathroom, isn't that valuable to us?
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it adds a lot of value. When you go to a restaurant and the table's clean and it's swept, but sometimes we get beside ourselves and we see ourselves more than what we are. But value only exists in people. So if you maintain that level of expectation and understanding that value only exists in another person and your responsibility is to add value to that person, then that's powerful. And that's how you keep a kid balanced.
Yeah. Tice, I'd like to say something about my daughter. You know, I got 2 sons and a daughter. And I was trying to find a good connection with my daughter to bond with her. So after she got 10 years old, I just took a little trip to the lake and got a hotel room, and we stayed together a weekend. And they gave her freedom to speak to me, just me and her one-on-one.
That's good.
And I allowed her to tell me and ask me anything. We talked about sex, we talked about alcohol, we talked about her going to college, talked about her monthlies, you know, basically whatever she wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And her relationship with me changed after that. It's just, man, it just blossomed. And we still close today.
That's good.
And I try to look back to try to determine what it was. It was just us being together, because she needed that one-on-one time without the boys.
That's
and I
good.
gave it to her. And to me, that was being a good dad, doing what I should do. And I try to pass that on to other people. You know, if you got a daughter or something, give her some time, just you and her alone.
That's
that
good.
works.
Now this man here, Chauncey, I call him Abraham. He got a lot of kids, and so you got girls and sons. Right. So how do you get that balance with your sons and your daughters as far as having the intimate time? You know, like Mr. Bake said about being a daddy versus just a father and a kid. But how do you become a daddy to that many kids?
Well, it's an art form.
You got one on the way too, don't you?
No, don't you start with me.
You got that rabbit in him, y'all.
No, we have 5, and you just have to work at it.
Yeah.
And you have to see the value in what you were saying. having that one-on-one time with each of your children, because having a large family, you can kind of see it as a big herd. And if you see it as a big herd, then some of your kids can kind of get lost in the shuffle of all of that. So my wife and I have seen that and the value of that one-on-one time. And what we've done, and we can do it a little better, is definitely set up times where we have that one-on-one individual time with each other, because all of our kids are different. Right. They're all strong. Yeah. All strong-willed, but they're all different. We have 3 girls and 2 boys. So, and with each one, they have a different personality. So there's no cookie-cutting child or connection or relationship. So you have to deal with them individually. So we had to, on purpose, with purpose, make sure that we have that time with them so that we can develop the connection. So she has her one-on-one time, I have my one-on-one time. Good. And then we have time when we all come together as a family to let them know that this is something that we do together. And it's a value on one-on-one time, but there's also value on us coming together as a family.
And I can vouch that they're strong, because one of them, when he was a baby, he didn't want a haircut.
It's the truth.
And I'm telling you, it took 5 of us to hold him down. Yeah, he didn't want one. He's cool now. But we just like to thank y'all for spending your time with us today. This is Tyson Thompson with Our Village Tulsa, and we're talking about fatherhood and talking about validating our children. And as you heard from Chauncey and the men up here about spending quality time. Yes. And that's what I got out of this, is that you have to give that time and that space for them to open up to you and you to open up to them, so you can have that intimate relationship. I once heard that intimacy means into me see. So you look into me and I look into you, and we grow from there. So thank you. Look for us on Facebook, look for us on Instagram and all our social media, and we'll be with you soon. And we hope that you have a wonderful time. And remember, use this information, because they say knowledge is power, but actually it's not. When you utilize the knowledge, that's right, that's when it becomes powerful. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. You guys did a good job, man.